Hello everyone, today we start with the portions of class 11 psychology, and now I start with the first chapter, that is what is psychology. This chapter overall deals with what is psychology, what do we learn in psychology, the evolution of psychology, branches in psychology, and what do psychologists do. We have already discussed in the introduction part that in psychology we try to know ourselves, we try to know other people, we try to understand our surroundings, we try to know why certain people behave in certain manner, and why do people dream in certain fashion, and why do people have some certain expectations, etc. So, psychology deals with all these issues. So, let us start with the word psychology. The word psychology has been derived from two Greek words. The word psychology has been derived from two Greek words, that are psyche and logos. Two Greek words, psyche and logos. Psyche means soul and logos means science or study of a subject. Psyche means soul and logos means science or study of a subject. So, when we interpret the meaning of the word psychology, we get psychology is the study of soul or mind. Psychology is the study of soul or mind. But children, this is the initial meaning or definition of psychology. Do you know when do this a subject called psychology emerged? There was not a subject called psychology in 16th century. The terms like soul, mind, consciousness, etc. was studied under the subject called philosophy. And later on, the philosophers thought of separating these terms like mind, soul, consciousness, etc. to a different topic, and then they searched in the Greek dictionary and they got these two words, soul and psyche and logos. Then they kept the name psychology for this new subject. Okay. So, when we talk about today's psychology, it is modified to psychology is science of behavior. Psychology is science of behavior. We have come so far from the terms like study of soul, mind, etc. So, now if somebody asks you what do you learn in psychology, you can confidently say psychology is science of behavior and experiences in a scientific way. Psychology is study of behavior and experience in a scientific way. So, and also in the subject we study the behavior of an individual, behavior of a dyadic group, that is interaction between two people, and also organizational behavior. And how do we learn this behavior? We learn this behavior with scientific methods. In your textbook page number 3, the first para, it says psychology uses methods of biological and social sciences to obtain data systematically. Psychology uses methods of biological and social sciences to obtain data systematically. To get so in psychology, to get a systematic data, they uses scientific method and also methods from social science. On this basis, we can draw some predictions or inferences about the human behavior. Now, psychology is defined formally as a science which studies mental processes, experiences, behavior in different contexts. So, this is the formal definition of psychology. Psychology is defined formally as a science which studies mental processes, experience and behavior in different contexts. So, now let us discuss these three terms which are there in the definition of the psychology, that are mental process, experience and behavior. So, let us discuss the first term, that is mental process. What are mental processes? As the name indicates, what we think or whatever the things are going through our mind all comes under mental processes. Can you name some mental processes? Yes, thinking, remembering, etc. So, there are many mental processes that you are familiar with. So psychology is the study of all these mental processes. So when we think or when we try to do some problems, or when we try to solve some problems, we use this mental processes, and all these mental processes are related to our brain activities. All these mental processes are related to our brain activities. Corresponding to each mental process, some changes occurs in our brain. Corresponding to each mental process, some changes occurs in our brain. But can you observe directly these changes occurs in our brain? No, it is not possible. So there are many brain imaging techniques developed today to observe these changes. Techniques such as MRI scan, EEG, etc. So we can say our brain and mental processes are interdependent. Our brain and these mental processes are interdependent, but we cannot say our brain activities and mental processes are same. We cannot say our brain activities and mental processes are same. They are interdependent but not same. Why do we think so? Why it is not same? Because in the case of brain, we know where the brain locates and what is its structure, what is its different parts, and what are its functions. We know all these things. But in the case of mind, we don't know where it locates. Where do mind locates? We don't know. And what is its structure? We don't know. So mind exists through these mental processes. Mind exists through these mental processes. And when do this mental process happen? Does this mental process happen only when we are awake? Do you think so? Yes, mental processes are not happening only when we are awake. Even when we are asleep, it happens. We dream, right? So dream is the best example to prove that mental processes happens even when we are asleep. Another example, we listen to the door knock and we listen to the alarm during our sleep. So all these are examples to prove that mental processes happens even when we are awake. Okay. Now let us see some mental processes where psychologists are interested in: remembering, learning, knowing, perceiving. What is perceiving? Perceiving means to become aware of or conscious of something. Perceiving means to aware of or conscious of something. And feeling. So these are some mental processes which psychologists are interested in. What are they? Remembering, learning, knowing, perceiving, feeling, etc. So this is the first term in the definition of psychology, that is mental processes. Now let us move on to the next term in the definition of psychology, that is experiences. Experiences. So experiences are subjective in nature. Experiences are subjective in nature. Subjective in nature means it is personalized. We cannot directly observe or know somebody else experiences, right? We cannot observe or know somebody else experiences directly. Okay, only the experiencing person can be aware of his or her feelings. Okay, so some experience, let us see some experiences where psychology deals with. The pain experienced by a death awaiting person, or a pain felt when we lose our dear ones. Besides all these experiences from negative emotions, psychology also deals with positive emotions or experiences like love, happiness, etc. So, and again, a person who is meditating would have his own experiences than a person who is not. Similarly, a drug addict's experience will be different from a person who is normal. So psychology deals with all these experiences. Okay. When we talk about learning experiences, there are two factors which influence an experiencer. When we talk about learning experiences, there are two factors that influence an experiencer, that are his or her internal and external conditions. Okay, internal and external conditions of that experiencer. Let us see an example. Suppose in a hot summer day, on a hot summer day, you are traveling. Okay, what will be your feeling? Yes, you will be so much irritating, right? In the same situation, in the same crowded bus, in a hot summer day, you are traveling for a picnic with your close friends. Here, what will be your feeling? You will not feel that irritation you felt before, because you are with your close friends and you are going for a picnic and you are in a happy mode and you are enjoying. So, you will not feel that irritation you felt before. Here the external conditions are same, but the internal condition is different. When we study the experiences of a person, you must analyze that person's internal and external conditions. So, this is all about experiences. Experiences subjective in nature, and when you learn about experience, there are two factors, internal and external conditions of that experiencer. Okay. Now, let us move on to the next topic, that is behavior, the third term in the definition of psychology, that is behavior. Any action or reaction or activity, whatever you perform is your behavior. So, behaviors are responses or reactions we make or activities we engage in. Behaviors are responses or reactions we make or activities we engage in. Suppose I throw something at you. Suddenly, what will you do? Yes, you will blink your eyes. This is a simple reflex action. So, this response is your behavior. Okay. And you go for a movie. This is also a behavior. So, whatever action you do and your every response is your behavior. So, psychology studies all these behaviors. Now, behavior can be simple or complex. It can be short or enduring. Enduring means continuing. Or behavior can be overt and covert behavior. What is an overt behavior? A behavior that can be observed by someone other than the experiencing person is an overt behavior. Behaviors that can be observed by someone other than the experiencing other than the person performing it is an overt behavior. What is the example for an overt behavior? Yes, dancing, singing, walking, talking, etc. are some examples for overt behavior. And next, what is covert behavior? Just opposite to overt behavior, which are the actions which are unobservable, are covert behaviors. Can you give me some examples? Yes, thinking, remembering, dreaming, etc. are examples for covert behavior. These behaviors cannot be observed by other people. Okay, these are covert behaviors. Now, all behaviors are associated with some stimulus. All behaviors are associated with some stimulus. What is a stimulus? A thing that arouses activity or energy in someone or something. So, is a stimulus. A thing that arouses activity or energy in someone or something is a stimulus. So, all behaviors are associated with some stimulus in the environment or changes that happens internally. A stimulus can be external or internal. Stimulus can be external or internal. As we said earlier, A stimulus could be an action that arouses someone to do an activity. A stimulus could be an action that arouses someone to do an activity. Suppose you are listening to my class and suddenly you heard a noise from outside, and obviously you will look at that place. Okay. So, what is the factor that distracted you from my class, from the class? That sound you heard from outside. Okay. So, that sound you heard is the stimulus here, and what was your response? You looked there. So, that is your behavior. Here the cause behind your behavior, that is to look, was the external stimulus. The cause your behavior that is to look there, that is your external stimulus. Similarly, some behaviors occurs due to internal stimulus. For example, you are listening to the class and you felt thirsty, okay, and you drank some water. So, drinking water is the behavior and thirsty is the stimulus, and the stimulus thirsty here is internal. Okay, the thirsty, that stimulus here is internal. And so, stimulus can be, now it is clear that stimulus can be external and internal, and the responses also can be internal and external. Responses also can be internal and external. And in the example of drinking water, so the response of drinking water is external. Response of drinking water is external, but the stimulus thirsty was internal. And suppose you are given some problem, to do some problem, and you will think. So, that thinking is your response, and that thinking, the response is internal here. Understood? So, stimulus can also can be internal and external, and also the responses also can be internal and external. So, behaviors occurs because of both external and internal stimulus. Behaviors occurs because of both internal and external stimulus. So, some psychologists study behavior as an association between stimulus and response. Some psychologists study behavior as an association with stimulus and response, because every behavior occurs when there is a stimulus. Every behavior occurs when there is a stimulus. So, this is all about all this. These are the three terms which is there in the definition of psychology. What are they? Mental processes, experiences and behaviors. So, now let us summarize today's class. So, we learned psychology has been, the word psychology has been derived from two words that are psyche and logos, and psyche means soul, logos means science of study, which means psychology is the study of soul or mind. Then we learned it is uses a method of biological and social sciences, etc. And the definition of psychology. Psychology is defined formally as a science which studies mental processes, experiences, behaviors in different contexts. You must learn this, okay. Psychology is defined formally as a science which studies mental processes, experience, behavior and in different contexts. And we also discussed all these three terms: mental processes, which are some mental processes are remembering, learning, knowing, perceiving, feeling, etc. And we learned about experiences. Experiences are subjective in nature. And then behaviors are responses or reactions we make or activities we engage in, and every behavior occurs when there is a stimulus. This is what we learned in this video.